Good evening, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated as always. I've got a bit of good news today in the United Kingdom, and I thought I'd share what I've read online. It's been published in the press, so obviously it's true. We've had a win for free speech, and the criticism of the religion of peace has actually been deemed lawful by a judge at an employment tribunal. Now, what this actually is, there's two specific things. The first thing is it creates precedent or precedent. So this is what's known as the test case now, and it can be used to interpret the law moving forward. So when anybody says, well, you can't actually do this, it's Islamophobic, which is a made-up word, or when everyone says, well, you can't really do that, that's racist, neither is true, according to UK law, which is what we're getting into in this video. Now, if you like this content and you think I'm onto something with this, consider liking and subscribing. It is appreciated as always. The right to criticise Islam is protected under the equality law, a judge has ruled. Patrick Lee, 61, appeared on an employment tribunal hearing after a 4-year disciplinary process due to his post on X that criticised the religion of peace. Then we go on. He called the Prophet Muhammad a monster and referred to Islam as backward, contric, and a dangerous cult, and the root of evil. But the court has ruled that Islam critical beliefs are protected under the Equalities Act 2010. Mr. Lee, who is an atheist, will have a final hearing in February that will decide whether his X posts were an expression of his protected belief or whether a regulator discriminated against him. So that's the essence of the article. It goes on here, and I'll bring up this bit now. He was found guilty of misconduct by the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, whatever the nonsense that is, the IFOA, last April, over 42 posts which said that they were either offensive or inflammatory, or both. Another way to say that is, you're creating alarm and distress, and that 29 were designed to demean or insult Muslims. No, not at all. Insult Jesus, I don't care. I'm a Christian, doesn't bother me. So no, I'm not buying into that at all. Mr. Lee was banned from the body after being a member for 34 years and had to pay nearly 23k in costs. The IFOA argued that his views were not genuinely held philosophical beliefs under Section 10 of the Equality Act, and his true belief was substantially more extreme than pleaded. And then finally it goes on to say here, the atheist argued that, in his view, that Islam, particularly in its traditional form rather than a reformed, moderate westernised form, is problematic and deserving of criticism. No lies told there. I think we can all agree on that. And it was protected philosophical belief under the Equality Act. Mr. Lee claimed, I am not saying that all Muslims behave in a particular way, not at all. I am saying that without reform, Islam is incompatible in many ways with lots of our human rights in the West. I presume he's meaning there, speaking to the Telegraph. He argued that his belief was based on reasoned analysis rather than prejudice, and highlighted that his charitable donations have helped predominantly Muslim communities, such as donating around 30k to Iran Aid in the 1990s and in the 2000s. And finally, it goes on to say here, the Employment Tribunal judge, David Khan, agreed with Mr. Lee that a written judgment on Monday that Mr. Lee is, and was relevant at all times, critical of certain Islamic doctrines and practices, and not to individual followers of Islam, or to the Islamic faith religion at large. His barrister, John Holbrook, acting pro bono publico, argued that his beliefs may cause offence and some may find abhorrent, but they do not, on any view, seek to destroy the rights of Muslims. He said Islam critical was a reasonable and non-pejorative description of his client's beliefs. It is the first time that the court has ruled that Islam critical beliefs are protected under the Equalities Act. The ruling comes after ministers are considering a reformed definition of anti-Muslim hate, which is expected to replace the word Islamophobia. While the beliefs were deemed qualified protection, the final 7-day hearing in February will determine whether the posts were appropriate manifestation of the belief. This is helpful and this is informative on a couple of reasons. First of all, it shows that the Equalities Act 2010, while useless and it needs to be repealed, I agree with that because it gives protected characteristics protection over the vast majority of people. It's a start. We can use the laws that are there at the moment to protect our freedom of speech. What this does is it creates precedents, as I said. It creates the implication now that you can't go basically after the judge or the interpretation of the law. There's many organisations, many political parties, the Labour Party in Scotland, the SNP, the Green Party, they all have the working definition of Islamophobia in their parties', I wouldn't say manifesto, their rule books, their essential internal policing rule books, which means that anybody with these views would be booted from the party. This changes things, alright? It changes things for everybody. It means that a UK judge has ruled that we can critique the religion of peace, just like any other religion. Now, Nick Timothy, as I've mentioned on my channel before, he's one of the very few decent Tory MPs. He is actually putting an amendment through. It's on its second reading at the moment, and this is essentially to make sure that the public order offences that are being thrown around like sweets by the police at the moment, basically to get rid of anybody who's criticising Islam in public. He's putting that through Parliament because the legislation that came in the 80s is not being used for its intended purpose, which was football hooliganism. This is Nick in the chamber in the Commons, and this is part of what he says on the subject of Islamophobia.
This bill also presents an opportunity for the government to support my amendment, New Clause 108, to protect freedom of expression. This is urgently needed because existing legislation has been manipulated to create a blasphemy law for the protection of Islam from criticism and protest. As I said in my speech last week, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm not a Muslim, and I reject any attempt to tell me I cannot say what I think about any religion. No ideas or beliefs should be above criticism or scrutiny.
The Honourable Gentleman for giving way. Can I ask him what he would like me to tell the family of Muhammad Salim, the 80-year-old grandfather who was stabbed simply for being a Muslim?
That was obviously an appalling crime, and I remember it very well, but I don't think that has anything to do with what I'm saying right now in this debate. And look, in a free society, in a pluralistic society, we have to be free to criticise ideas. There are laws to protect people, but we cannot have laws that protect ideas from scrutiny or criticism. But Islamophobia, as I was saying, is a made-up and nonsensical concept that aligns protection of individuals from hatred with the protection of ideas and beliefs, and is therefore, in my view, completely unacceptable in principle.
So we'll leave that one there. As I say, Nick Timothy is one of the very few good Tory MPs. He's bang on the money about Islamophobia. The court ruling this tribunal is going to be a watershed moment, in my opinion. What it means is it's completely lawful for us to critique the religion of peace, sarcastic quote marks there, and they can't do anything about it. Alright? Now, if you like this video, give me a like, give me a subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. You have a good day, and thank you for your time.